I gotta clean my mind. I gotta take it out of my head, rinse it under the sink, and put it back in. I'm good.
Put it in the
All right.
dishwasher.
I don't have a dishwasher.
Come over and put it in the dishwasher at our house.
I have a Coke Zero. It's like a dishwasher.
So true. What is a Coke
Yeah.
Zero if not a dishwasher?
I'm putting that on a shirt.
Ready
This
for me
is
to do this?
great. 4 hours of sleep, baby. Let's go.
Wait, I'm actually imagining a t-shirt that just says, what is a Coke Zero if not a dishwasher? The most esoteric possible joke.
Yeah.
I refuse
That
to
literally sent me
explain.
on a mind journey. I got lost there.
I'd wear it.
Oh yeah. I mean, me too.
All right.
Put that in the store.
I believe in you, Ben. You can do it. You can get us back on track.
Yep.
Good
All
luck.
right.
Rein us in.
Welcome to Updated Autopsy Report, a podcast from Yotze Ben and Friends, where we read and watch the inspirations behind Ace Attorney. I'm your host, Ben, and with me today is Dessy
Hello.
and two good friends of ours, Tiago
Yo.
and Rose.
Hi.
We're all longtime fans of Ace Attorney. We hope that through our perspectives, it'll reveal new details and provide interesting commentary for all the media we discuss. Our intro music, is by Lace, and you can find all her other work at lace.bandcamp.com. That's LEISS.bandcamp.com.
Yippee.
New music.
Yes, we've got new music.
New
yes.
music,
So I hope you all enjoy. We now have our own theme song.
We're so
That
cool.
should get more fanfare. That actually get more
It's
fanfare.
so cool. It sounds
Um,
so good.
She
Yes.
was Lace was so fantastic to work with and instantly tuned into what I wanted. And when I said, okay, so here's some of my favorite Ace Attorney tracks, and I listed a couple of them, I said, but my favorite one, maybe, that I want to use as inspiration for this intro is Gumshoe's theme. And she goes, good news. Gumshoe's theme is also my favorite Ace Attorney track.
Excellent.
Sick.
So we were instantly aligned in wavelength. So yeah, I hope you enjoy our new intro theme. So yes, today we're starting on a new path, and we are all discussing Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's first Sherlock Holmes novel, A Study in Scarlet. I thought we'd quick go around first and kind of talk about each of our histories with Sherlock Holmes. I read Sherlock Holmes. I had a collection, I believe, that I was given by my cool aunt when I was a teenager, maybe 13 or so, somewhere in that ballpark. And she gave me for Christmas a Sherlock Holmes, I believe it was The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, like the short story collection. And I read them at the time, and I don't know if I really quite appreciated or clicked with them at the time. I was a reader, right? I was a kid who was a reader, so that I got books, a lot of the
He
time.
wasn't. He wasn't a skater boy.
Right. And my cool aunt, who was cool in a way that I did not appreciate when I was a teenager, but I appreciate now. God rest her soul. In that she always found weird, like homemade arts and crafts things, like here's a pen made by a South African artist or something like that, right? I gave you this for Christmas, and as a teenager you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with this, right? But now as an adult I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of cool. But yeah, she got me my first Sherlock Holmes book, and like I said, Sherlock Holmes is everywhere. When I grew up, it was already suffused in the culture because obviously it's ancient practically now. So yeah, I don't know. I never had a huge phase necessarily other than reading those stories at the time. And I never really came back to them until now. I don't think A Study in Scarlet was in that because I think that was just all the short stories. So I think.
Oh, so this is your first time reading it?
I think it is. I mean, I always knew what A Study in Scarlet was, right? Because I just absorbed it through culture, right? I kind of knew oh yeah, that's the first one. That's where they meet. There's Mormons in it. I kind of just knew that, right?
I feel like the Mormons thing does get a lot of people by surprise.
So I knew some of those things, but that was kind of it, I think, for me. So yeah, I think, being perfectly honest, I think this is maybe my first time reading it. I can't recall reading this one before, but I've read some of the other ones. Some of the other short stories, and I know I've read Hound of the Baskervilles and that sort of thing. So, but again, that was all when I was 13, 14, and I had not reread them at all in the intervening years. So yeah, that's kind of where I sat. Rose, you are probably the most suffused in Sherlock Holmes, I think, out of all four of us.
Yeah, I just sort of grew up in a family that was big readers. We had all of this classic literature in our house. And when I went to my friends' houses, I wondered where are all their books. I guess they must just be in another room, because there's books in every room of my parents' house, and there always have been my entire life. And one of those books was a 2-volume set of the complete works of Sherlock Holmes. And I don't remember exactly how old I was, if I'm honest. I think it just ended up, it just ended up in the pile, and I read it, and I liked it, and that was that. I read a lot, a lot of stuff. I read
so you were also a voracious reader as a kid.
Yeah, my sister and I literally had a club over the summer where we would put on Shakespeare plays in our backyard. That is the kind of English literature nonsense that was going on in my life. So of course I had read the complete works of Sherlock Holmes. There was simply just what I did because it was there.
Yeah.
And I liked it, and now and then much later, you see things, and I recently reread, not all of it, but a bunch of random, the early stories before we started Great Ace Attorney. So this is my second reread of Study in Scarlet in 6 months. No, it can't be. I'm bad at time. But yeah, I've just always liked it. I've always been a dorky literature kid, so it was fun to actually read Sherlock Holmes and be oh, this is depicted in a lot of different ways, and that's fun, but I've read the original, so I kind of know, this is what everything is based off of.
Right.
And that's kind of fun from, a media literacy perspective, even though I did not understand that as a teenager, because I was just okay, I read more books now.
Yeah.
On to the next one.
Oh, this is a mystery book. I'm going to read this.
Yes. And I did like them. I liked them very much. So. And I still like them. Anyways.
How about you, Dessy?
Long-winded.
I never read a single Sherlock Holmes story. I only knew Sherlock Holmes through, culture.
Adaptations.
Adaptations, references, and old cartoons. Old. I went into this completely blind. I've never read or even heard anything about Study in Scarlet at all.
Any of the details or anything.
Nope, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I went in.
That is so fun. I am so excited for you to
Yep.
read some more random ass Sherlock Holmes.
Truly blind.
Did you have a favorite Sherlock Holmes adaptation before this, or was it
I
just like whatever? That's just another piece of media kind of thing.
I like the Robert Downey Jr. one. That was fun.
That is actually like my favorite as well.
It's fun. It's a fun movie.
It's fun.
It has good music.
Robert Downey Jr. gets the weird rascally energy, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tiago, how about you?
When I was young, I watched a film called The Great Mouse Detective.
Hell yeah.
Okay, good choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
I loved
Good one.
cartoons. I loved the rats. I love mice. Cartoon little animals. It made perfect sense to me. When I was older, I watched this show that was going around on Tumblr.
Bungle.
It was called BBC's Sherlock.
Elementary?
That's-
Oh, whoops.
That was the full title. BBC's Sherlock, and it had one Doctor Strange in it.
Who?
I saw a couple episodes of the BBC Sherlock and was like, okay, I don't see what the hype is, but you know, good on all of you. I could see how, I don't know, man, Sherlock Holmes, he's a name that we all know. He's the world's greatest detective. But also, like, I never really read his shit. Never quite interested me. I was too busy reading Bailey School Kid books and Animorphs.
Also good choices, though.
True. So, like, yeah, I had no idea what the fuck happened in any of these books because the only context I have for Sherlock Holmes are, of course, Robert Downey's movie, the BBC Sherlock, and The Great Mouse Detective. Oh, and I also, this little video game called Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So, like...
Well, The Great Mouse Detective's pretty fucking good, I will say.
Oh, it's dope as fuck, dude. Basil rocks. And Ratigan, what a guy.
Yeah, what a design.
What a design. You know, he's a rat again, you know? Like, it's in the fucking name, baby. But yeah, I ain't got no shit for any British detectives. I know Elementary was out, and it was just because watching Lucy Liu would have been good. But
Yeah.
It was good.
But
I forgot
don't have
about
the
that
chance
show.
because I'm a busy man. I watch more important detective shows like Psych and Monk on TBS.
Mhm.
And they taught me that if you lie and have OCD, you can solve crimes.
I think this is
Yay.
a fact. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's just true.
That's just true. Yeah, that's pretty much all my experience.
All right. Well, I think that sets the table then. Yeah, A Study in Scarlet is the very first Sir Arthur Conan Doyle story that introduces us to the character. It's not, I don't think it's the first thing he ever wrote, but it's the first
No.
Sherlock Holmes story. It is the first story that features the character, and it was originally published in a magazine, I believe, Beaton's Christmas Annual.
Yeah, sounds about right.
In 1887, and
That's what the audiobook guy said.
Yep. and yeah, so it you know, I think it was I don't know. I mean, it's all here is from my reading. It's really funny to see like the complete picture of Sherlock Holmes as a character that I have like just known for all my life. It's here in this story. There's no like, I mean, I'm sure there will be some like when we read some later stories, like I'm sure there'll be some adjustment and tweaking of the character and that kind of stuff. But like all the elements are here. This is like it did not take Doyle any like time to find the character. He's fully formed here in this first story, which is really really funny.
He shows up, somebody warns somebody about him, and then he just is there.
Yeah, I wonder what it's like to... I mean, obviously, we could talk about, like, oh, what is a character like inside someone's head before they are put to paper? What if his name wasn't Sherlock? What if it was something stupider? What if it was,
What if it was Herlock?
What if Yeah, what if it was Harlock?
What if the world was pudding? You know,
Yeah,
like,
I was just about to ask if the world was pudding.
you know, like it's all sorts of things.
So the plot of this book, roughly, I'm not going to do like a super detailed summary. We're trying to be a little more free spirited here this time.
Loosey goosey.
And so we're introduced to this is written from Dr. John Watson's perspective at the start here. And what do you know? He's returning from the second Anglo-Afghan War, and he's back in London, and he's looking for a place to live. So he meets a buddy who says, I know this guy, and he's also looking to rent a place. Maybe you guys could go in halvesies on it. It's this place at 221B Baker Street. And I gotta warn you, this guy's a real freak. And Watson's like, it's okay. Let me lead him. And if we hit it off great, then fine. If we don't, then that's also okay. And then and he's like, but no. You gotta listen to me.
I cannot be held responsible for him.
Yeah, it's so funny how he does it like 3 times. He's like, no, listen to me. You cannot hold me responsible if this goes horribly wrong. If you start renting this room and you hate this guy, the building burns down, like whatever the fuck happens, you cannot blame me.
It's not my fault.
And Watson's like, what's your problem? Oh my God, good God, man, kind of thing. He's like, it's all right. Like, let me meet the man and we'll figure it out.
Watson's also broke and horribly wounded and
yes, he's not doing hot.
No, he's not. He's not well, actually.
Rose,
Yeah.
you've talked about Watson before, and you always mentioned how he's sort of like the tank of the two. Like
he gets better.
Okay, great. Because as of right now, he looks like a weak piece of shit.
Yeah, he actually gets better.
He can't fight his way out of a wet paper bag right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he sort of starts picking it up. He does have a fucking gun.
Yeah, he had. Well, okay. Well, that's different then. I didn't know.
Yeah, he has a gun. I don't think it
Sorry,
comes up
doctor.
in this one.
What also gets brought up? Well, no, I think it is. He like straight up. I think Sherlock tells him, "Is like, yo, go get your piece in case something bad goes
okay.
go bad."
Yeah.
I might
like,
be
yeah.
mixing it up for the next one.
Okay,
But
yeah, he
Now
does
Rose
have
is
a gun.
burdened with knowledge.
Yeah, Watson was shot by a a Giselle bullet. Because all of our references from the past are going to be coming back here, and now
In their
we're
true
doing
form.
it kind of reverse. And so so the two of them, they go in on the room together, and because he meets Holmes, and Holmes is there like going like, look at all this weird shit I'm doing. Look, I'm like doing experiments and burning my fingertips off. Isn't this cool? And Watson's like, well, you know what?
Actually, that is kind of sick.
You're kind of baffling, but you compel me. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's do it.
He does actually. He's like, I've invented a way to determine if something is blood, even if it's like
human blood or
yes.
not.
several
yeah.
days, which is like, sort of in line with the wacky nonsense that was going on in Great Ace Attorney, although with a little bit less magic.
Yeah, a little less
Steampunk.
fantastical.
But like, yeah, he's up to the same shit.
Yes, he is. And so he goes, all right, let's shake on it. We'll get this room together. And they move in, and he quickly learns that yes, Holmes is a consulting detective, and he's taking on clients. Weird people are coming in and out of the apartment at all hours. And Watson's just like, well, I'm recovering from being shot, so I'm going to just ignore all this and sleep. But then eventually, of course, our first crime happens, and
Yay.
Holmes gets summoned.
Yay!
Gets summoned to the murder of one Enoch Drebber.
By
so-
our good friends,
Yes, our good friends Inspector
Tobias
Gregson,
Gregson and fucking whatever Lestrade's name is.
or Inspector
I-
Lestrade. Yeah,
I don't think they give it.
I don't think they give his first name. I think they just say Inspector Lestrade.
Yeah.
I have an opinion about this iteration of Enoch Drebber.
Well, here's the thing. This is the original.
Yeah.
He's not my friend.
And yeah, the Enoch Drebber that we encountered in the games was obviously just taking the name. in
Oh,
every
yeah.
other way, he's an entirely different character.
Yeah,
So-
they're
Nothing
not
in
the same.
common.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so they come to this mansion, this abandoned mansion, and find his body there with like no evidence of foul play. Really, he's just like he's twisted and contorted in a weird pose, like he was in pain when he was dying, but there's no like strangle or stab marks or anything like that. And there is the German word for revenge painted on the wall. In
Was it
red.
Raka?
Raka.
And yeah, so Holmes immediately starts investigating and showing up everybody here and proving how
Mhm.
Gregson and Inspector Lestrade are fools to have thought that they have figured things out already, and he knows the real truth. We can dive into some of the details then if that
Mhm.
so compels us. But basically, Holmes starts going through a bunch of the steps here, figuring out what happened here. They find a ring, which he decides that he needs to use as bait to draw out the real killer. And so he puts an advertisement in the paper saying, "Oh, we found a missing ring," and a old woman comes and picks up the, says, "Oh, it's my ring," and
It's her
Holmes
daughter's ring.
cleverly gives her of course, a fake ring so that they can follow her back and see where she went. But she gives him the slip. This old woman gives Holmes the slip.
Mhm.
Can't deduce this way out of a paper bag.
So there's a little bit of other back and forth. We meet another older woman and her daughter. We get some details about little bit of detail. I think we get a little bit of details about Drebber and his backstory. And
A little bit.
Yeah.
well, not yet.
Drebber's
Not yet. We're about. I'm
We get his
getting
whole
to.
damn life story.
Well, we go on this little red herring segment where
Right.
Lestrade and Gregson think they've caught
Right.
or one of
They
them
think they've
thinks
caught-
they've caught the murderer, who's this young gentleman who
Hat.
beat the shit out of Drebber because he came on to his sister.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, I didn't do it, but fuck him.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
you know. So a little bit of a red herring there, and of course Holmes is not fooled.
Yeah. And then we find Drebber's secretary, right? Strangerson,
Mhm.
who is also murdered.
I thought it was Stangerson.
Or sorry, yes, Stangerson. Yes, you're right. Stangerson.
Yeah,
I was
whoever.
like,
Yeah.
that's not a name that sounds familiar.
And so he was found stabbed, again with the German word for revenge written above. And they do find a
Sorry,
little
German
box, though,
listeners.
with 2 pills in it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Holmes is like, well, we gotta, Watson, go downstairs and talk to the landlady. Remember, she has
The
that-
real victim in this book.
She has that old dog that sucks and needs to die. Bring that dog up here.
The dog is already dying.
Yeah, it's the dog
Watson-
is apparently on its deathbed, and
Watson
apparently the landlady.
confirms that the dog is in fact dying. 'Cause he's
It's
a
a
Yeah.
horrible
decent
little
man.
dying creature.
I know it this very convenient dog that needs to be put out of its misery, so we can test these strange pills on it.
Arthur Conan
And,
Doyle did not want to get canceled.
By
So-
pet owners. He didn't care about the Mormons, though.
Yeah.
So we test these pills on the dog, and of course, they are poison. The second
One of them
pill,
is the other.
the
One of
second
them is.
pill is the poison. Yeah.
Yeah.
And kills the dog. So we then also also Holmes has been employing a bunch of street urchins
Yeah.
as well.
He's gonna keep doing that.
He has
And,
a network.
Yeah.
He's got people on the street to help him out. And
Like to get information, like the guy from Naked Gun.
yeah, paying him, just slipping in some money. Yeah, well, the thing is, the
You
kids
didn't
are
hear it
definitely
from
running
me.
off with the money, though. They're not going to
Yeah.
hand it back. But yes, he gets them to summon a cabbie based on his, suppositions, and the cabbie comes up to pick up their bags and he immediately handcuffs the cabbie to his suitcase, and says, "Well, here you go. I've caught the murderer. This is Jefferson Hope, the murderer."
Guy with a cool name.
Yeah,
he's kind of sick with it.
Yeah, and so the two, Gregson and Lestrade are like, "Damn, that's crazy," and then the book stops, and then we get part 2, which is an incredibly extended, like it's the second half of the book in which we tell the entire story.
We go to America.
Yeah, we go all the way over to America into Utah, and we tell the entire story of how Jefferson Hope got to this point that he felt he had to become a murderer and kill these two men. And it is a long extended story about the Mormons and this poor man, John Ferrier, and this little girl named Lucy, and how they almost starved to death and then are rescued by the Mormons. And, but of course, to get rescued, you gotta convert. So they become Mormons. And as the Mormons colonize and set up a new city, they, eventually Lucy, as they grow up, Lucy eventually has to get married and
married off.
Yes. Into, one of the men who, what do you know? Joseph Stangerson, or Enoch Drebber are the two Mormons who she could potentially be married off to. But, John Ferrier doesn't want to do this, of course, because he doesn't really believe, he just converted to save their lives. And
this segment is so long, listeners. This is a long segment.
Yeah, this is I'm trying to shorten this because it goes on so long, to be clear. But Lucy has a crush on a young man named Jefferson Hope, who is not a Mormon but comes in occasionally to the town and sells his wares and that sort of thing.
He's like an outdoorsman.
He's a badass.
And yes, he's a cool, he's not a cowboy per se, but he is that type of archetype, right? In that he can ride a horse, he can track people, and of course he agrees to help them escape the Mormons, and ride.
He's in love with Lucy, and they are engaged to be married secretly.
He's crushing back on Lucy as well. Yeah. So so they decide, we'd rather get married, and so we gotta escape the Mormons. But it goes badly. It goes real badly. And her adoptive father, John Ferrier, dies and is killed. Is killed by the Mormons. He's murdered by the Mormons while Jefferson goes off hunting one evening while they're escaping, and finds, that Lucy has been, absconded back, taken back, kidnapped back to the Mormon city. And so he tries to go back there, finds that she's already been married off. And I believe, it's within a couple days then, or is it a couple weeks that she just basically passes away?
It's like a month or something, isn't it?
Yeah, she dies within a few weeks, before a month is over.
Yeah.
It's sort of implied that she maybe starves herself to death. It's a little unclear.
Right, yeah.
It's like the Melancholies.
Yeah. She died of a broken heart.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. It could happen to anyone.
So Jefferson Hope says, well, you know what? Fuck these guys. I'm going to make it my life's mission to get these two bastards, Enoch Drebber and Joseph Stangerson. So he, tracks them. They start trying to realize what's happening, and they start trying to escape and dodge him, move across the country, that sort of thing. And eventually they try to go all the way across, to London, and he pursues them even there. And this, to be clear, this goes on for years. And eventually he finally, as you have heard, makes it happen. He gets them. And he, after we get this whole recounting of the story, we then also get Jefferson Hope's himself telling the story as well. So we kind of get the story twice. He keeps it a lot
shorter.
He does shorten it. Yeah, he takes only a couple pages to tell it instead of instead of multiple chapters.
Yeah.
But
He's just like, here's
the
what I
detectives
did.
are like, yeah, because he admits to it, and also he's like, also I'm gonna die soon. And Watson like touches his wrist, and he's like, God damn, you are gonna die soon.
You got some kind of heart
you're gonna have an
arrhythmia.
Yeah, you're
or
gonna have like
whatever.
an aneurysm soon. You know.
Oh yeah, it's a what do they say? Aortic aneurysm.
Yeah, something like that.
So they take down his story and record it all. Watson writes everything down, and in the newspapers then when they tell the story of how this all shook out, and of course Jefferson does pass away then before he can even go to trial. And when they post it all in the newspapers, Lestrade and Gregson, of course, get all the credit.
Mm-hmm.
And Watson is like, this is outrageous. We should publish our own stories about how you did this. And Holmes is like, nah, it's fine. And Watson's
you
like,
can
you know
if you
what?
want to.
Yeah, Watson's like, I'll do it myself. And that is how we kind of set up, I assume, for the rest of the stories, the setup of Watson writing the stories and telling the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So that is how we kind of lay everything out here.
I don't know if we covered, but the way he kills these guys is pretty sick. Where he
yes,
he has like the pill boxes. This is kind of like a famous thing from the story. He has a pill box. One pill has no poison. One pill has poison. He says, "Okay, buddy, you pick one pill. I'll take the other one. Got a 50-50 chance of me dying instead of you, but I know that you will take the poison pill and die because you are guilty." And it works the first time. And then he tries to do it to the other guy, and the other guy's just like, no, so he just stabs him.
To be fair, he didn't want to play the game. I would have done the same thing.
That guy said the only way to win is not to play, and Jefferson Hope said, fair enough, stabs you.
Jefferson Hope said, you still lose, actually. So I kind of want to talk a lot about the first half, because the second half doesn't interest me that much, because it's a different story. In the first half of the book, we have like the setup of like Watson being the protagonist, which I like. I like the idea of like a story being not necessarily about told through the eyes of the guy, but through the guy next to him. He went through
sort of Great Gatsby style.
Yeah, Great Gatsby style.
Gatsby's the main character, but
do you think F. Scott Fitzgerald read Sherlock?
Probably.
I think maybe.
All right. If anyone out there knows, tells me.
I hear Ben Googling it.
It's okay. He can Google.
Let's get the Ouija board out here. Let's ask him.
Yeah, let's ask Scotty. Also, let's ask if his wife was named after
Scotty
the video game.
Hottie.
Okay. What?
We know the answer to that.
Scotty Too Hottie.
I don't know it.
The video game's named after her.
What?
Yeah.
Are you sure the game didn't come first?
Yes.
All right.
I am very, very, very sure.
All right, I'll trust you, Rose, but I got my eye on you.
This one, I'm
Robin
real
Williams' daughter
about.
is named after the game.
Well, I'll just believe you because I have faith in my friends.
Yeah, this
and
one
in
I
my
definitely
clients.
know. And in his clients.
Sherlock isn't that much of a dick as I thought he was going to be. Because, like...
He's definitely worse in Great Ace Attorney.
No, let me be perfectly clear. The scale of dickishness, like, kind of peaks at BBC Sherlock, IMHO. Obviously,
yeah, he's like a piece of shit in that.
And, like, he's, like, kind of a chill dude in The Great Mouse Detective, because that's Basil, a different guy.
Mm-hmm.
And in here, he's just kind of pompous, and I'm like, I could deal with that.
He doesn't even know what the solar system is.
Yeah, but he has a really good reason, Des.
No.
He says...
Yeah.
He says...
Go ahead.
The mind is like a room, and if you fill it with useless stuff, you will lose space or even push out the things you would want to keep. So whenever he receives information that is not relevant to him, he forgets it immediately. And he says, what good is him to know that the Earth rotates around the sun? That doesn't help him figure out blood, so he doesn't care. Do you understand my
And this
point?
is why I can't remember anything, because all of my head is full of useless English literature information.
My head is
line
filled
I
with
highlighted from Watson immediately after that is him going, "But the solar system," I protested.
This is so.
Yeah.
The solar system is
It's-
really just really funny to me.
It's so much of him, just Watson, just being like, "What the fuck are you talking about, Holmes?" And Holmes is like, "Well,
I don't know about the rest of the world, but the American education system said that's not something we're going to agree with.
I like
And you are forced to learn about the solar system.
I like a phrase that Arthur Conan Doyle uses a lot, which is he put the action to words or something like that. When someone says, "I'm going to do blank," and then he writes, and then he put the action to words and did the very
So then
same
he
thing.
did
He
it.
hits the "we do that" button."
Yeah.
Honestly, we've hit the "you do that" button in every tabletop RPG we've ever played. So now I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna put the action to words.
For context, listeners, I have a edit of that meme where it's the hand like swooshing towards the big blue button to press it. And I've edited the button to say "we do that." And whenever things are taking too long, or we're waffling too much, or we're arguing about how we're gonna open a door or do a fight, I just start posting the button in chat.
We do that.
We do that. We do that.
We do that.
We do that. Oh, we've been, waffling over here. We're in the wagon. We're going. We do that.
Yeah. Let's go.
So now we have a new phrase to add to our collection.
We put the action to words.
Mm-hmm.
Other way around.
Words to action.
Fuck. Sorry.
Devastation.
I was devastated.
I love Watson's list because he makes a list then in the book of what Sherlock Holmes knows. So he says here, Sherlock Holmes dash his limits. 1. Knowledge of literature, nil. Philosophy,
Boo.
nil. Astronomy, nil. Politics, feeble. Botany, variable. It continues and continues.
Yeah.
Sensational literature, immense.
This dude loves
and then-
People magazine.
And it
Fucking
plays the
would.
violin well, and at the very end, of course, has a good practical knowledge of British law, which,
Mm. He's
somebody saw that line and was like, I can make a whole game off of that.
Yeah.
someone really said I could do this. It is kind of interesting.
They put the words to action.
Wow.
So like when I was playing this game and he was talking about how deduction works, in which that like we received a result and it must work backwards, I was like, wow, that's just exactly what I do as an attorney.
It is.
I can't believe it. Is Phoenix Wright ever met this guy, Sherlock Holmes?
Damn.
And Phoenix Wright
Phoenix
goes,
didn't.
no. I'm like 25 in the year 30, 32.
But also somehow it's like the early 2000s at all times.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. But also there's like weird the hologram. I always forget that the technology in Ace Attorney has
They
always
really pulled that one out
really
of their ass.
variable depending on which game that you're playing. Because like in the same universe that like Phoenix Wright's watching a VHS tape, there's Little Thief out there creating holodeck areas.
I don't know. I think Little Thief is too OP.
Okay, well, what about Widget, the emotion that can the robot that can detect your emotions? And
Widget is from the more like sci-fi futuristic games.
Mm-hmm.
And also relies on Athena being one of the fucking X-Men.
Yeah.
So I'm like a little more willing to give it a pass.
Yeah.
I still think it's odd.
She is an X-Man.
Yeah, she has a superpower.
That is
and
fair.
she is using it.
The listening power.
The case itself, like the way that Sherlock solves it, where he goes to the house, he looks at the outside of the house first to determine how the person got there. He looks at the inside of the house to determine what happened. He looks at the German and went, "That's not relevant."
Yeah,
which is very funny to me because
just like that's some guy fucking with you.
I
so
can't.
it was.
And then they put
that's
the
a
action.
red herring. Don't worry about it.
They put the action to words. It's kind of incredible that like
That was backwards again.
what? Isn't it not action to words?
It's words
Words
to
to
action
action.
because you're saying something and then you're doing it,
It's
and you're
words.
saying put the action to words. So you're doing an action and then you're describing it.
So when I listened to this story, I had an audiobook that Ben sent us featuring the voice of Stephen Fry.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
I this is me going to a tangent within a tangent. I
what the people are here
learned
for, so go
that
ahead.
because of my OCD, I don't do well with audiobooks because if I misunderstand a word, I'll repeat that segment over and over until I get it. And then I was really stuck on the like action to word things, and I still can't get it fucking
Words
right.
to action.
I'm going to actually lose it. Okay, whatever.
Alright, so no more audiobooks for Tiago is what I'm hearing.
But they're so easy to do. You can just put on an audiobook and you can like do something else.
Yeah. I mean,
That's the ADHD that needs that.
I read faster than other people can talk.
Yeah.
I was never one of those people that could read fast.
I
Call me stupid, but I say the words in my head.
I paid for it in fucking blood, sweat, and tears. I didn't learn how to... All that shit I was talking about how much I was reading, I didn't learn to read until 3rd grade, okay? I got cool, and I was like, yeah, reading's cool. And then it wasn't cool anymore by the time I'd figured it out, and then everyone made fun of me. What else was I gonna do? Of course I read the complete works of Sherlock Holmes.
I'm actually imagining what I was like in 1st grade. I was like, was reading cool back then?
Well, it was cool at my school.
We went to separate elementary schools.
When it's one of the few things you can do as a kid, it is kind of cool.
I can hang upside down from the monkey bars.
That's
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool.
sick.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but most
Wait,
of us could
wait,
hang
hold up. He's got
upside
a
down from the
point.
monkey bars, but not everybody could read.
Okay, fair enough.
I really this is a slight tangent, but I'm looking through my highlights right here that I made as I read.
I took us down a
really
tangent.
love-
It's fine. You can take us to a new
Yeah.
tangent.
I really love that that Watson's when like Sherlock explains like how he does his deductive reasoning, Watson goes, "Damn, you know what? You're just like a fictional detective."
Oh yeah.
He's like, the exact quote is, "It is simple enough as you explain it," I said, smiling. "You remind me of Edgar Allan Poe's Dupin. I had no idea that such individuals did exist outside of stories." And Sherlock Holmes says, "You think that's a compliment, but actually you're putting me down."
Actually, that sucks.
Fuck
Dupin sucks. Edgar Allan Poe, he's terrible, and this is of course I believe that story was like 40 years before this that it came out, so it's not like old, but it's been done at this point, but
it's in the curriculum of literature that people have read.
And they bring up I think they bring up one or two other ones at that point as well, other fictional detectives that are in the world of Sherlock Holmes. Those are fictional detectives as well.
Yeah, these are the precursors to
Well, if you think
the
about
Sherlock
it,
Holmes stories.
But yeah, Holmes thinks that they're all nobodies. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm so much better than
He's
them.
like, no,
It's
I
very
do
funny.
real work.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because at the time, some of these ideas were like kind of radical. Like, all right,
Mhm.
don't let everybody in and have them touch the crime scene. Like, oh, it's just his weird eccentricity, but like, hey, maybe we shouldn't touch the crime scene. Like, that idea was starting to become like a thing at the time.
Yeah.
Or like, in some of the later stories, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was a doctor, actually.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yes,
that.
he was actually a medical doctor, which is, why some of the things that Watson, does are kind of oddly realistic.
Mhm.
And he is actually anti-cocaine.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's one of the doctors at the time who was going, all right, it seems like we're maybe doing a little bit too much of this stuff, everybody. We should probably stop doing that, And that's a thing that Watson expresses as well, so it's kind of funny to like, not quite a self-insert per se, but like, it's entertaining to see these little bits of like him trying to be like, all right, we're gonna not touch crime scenes, we're gonna think first before we, do stuff, and we're gonna do
conclusion.
less cocaine about it.
I don't know. You had me in the first two. I
mean,
I think
also, Sherlock Holmes can have a little cocaine as a treat for his untreated ADHD.
yippee.
And I can't.
Dessy, you want some?
I mean,
No.
You'll be
Talk to your doctor.
Talk to your doctor about cocaine, everybody.
I talked to my doctor about my ADHD. Nothing happened.
I think that if you want cocaine, I can get you coke.
I'm good.
Okay, cool. Because that
Should
would
we be doing this on the
crime.
podcast?
Yeah, that was entrapment, and you avoided it. That's
I have
good
more
job.
expensive
Hey.
hobbies.
If you're a cop, you have to tell me.
Hey,
Yeah.
If
Listeners,
someone walks up to
no
you,
cops.
Tiago, real quick, could you say that again, just a little bit closer here to my chest?
I could get you cocaine.
All right.
Oh,
Book
we're
'em.
laughing so they know it's a joke.
There's a half sovereign for you, my companion said, standing up and taking his hat. I am afraid, Rance, that you will never rise in the force. That head of yours should be for use as well as ornament. You might have gained your sergeant's stripes last night. The man whom you held in your hands is the man who holds the clue of this mystery and whom we are seeking. There is no use of arguing about it now. I tell you that it is so. Come along, doctor.
My man absolutely roasted the shit out of this fucking guard.
This poor, this poor cop who was the guy who had the murderer in his grasp and let him him pass because
he didn't
realize.
know.
He's like, oh, he's just a poor drunk. Sorry, I
No, I mean,
again,
Bro read a whole excerpt like a
bolster
fucking Bible verse.
to bolster the the Holmes is here, right? Like the cocky, like a little bit of an asshole, confident Holmes is here already. Like it's just beat by beat by beat.
He's fully formed. This is definitely some guy that Arthur Conan Doyle knew. This is.
Based off this,
There's some guy somewhere
knew.
who was like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that reminds me of an insult that I read the other day, which was simply, "You have reached the limits of your comprehension." And I am just
That's
like,
something he would say for sure.
That's
He may
exa-
have.
he may have said that dead ass. Honestly, I wouldn't take that shit from a nerd. I'd beat his ass right then and there. I'd get up and be like, all right, hands it is then. Although, I don't know.
Throw off your
Are you
white
ready
gloves.
to get
Time for some
discombobulated, Tiago?
His
fisticuff discombobulate.
His boyfriend.
Discombobulate.
Your boyfriend. It looks like I could take you and your boyfriend. Oh my.
Yeah, they weren't kidding. These people out there weren't kidding with the shipping thing, huh?
It is incredible to me that every time Sherlock is like, by the way, the milk came from the cup. And Watson goes, my God, dude, you've invented the, intelligence.
The wheel.
You've invented the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
You are...
He is so
everything.
enamored. He loves... He's literally on the edge of his seat the whole time.
It's like the first Spock Kirk.
It is truly one of the original, BLs.
BLs?
Boy love.
Boy love.
Do you think... Okay, everyone here, I knew what BL stand for.
Okay.
I was about to say, I'd be surprised if Tiago didn't know.
I'm terminally online.
Well, but you asked, and I answered you earnestly.
I didn't think I asked. I just said the phrase back to you.
It sounded like a question.
Everybody go around the circle.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, everybody go around in the circle and say the words BL.
BL.
BL?
Okay.
Yes,
That did sound like kind of a question, actually.
See what I'm saying?
Maybe I don't know what it is.
Maybe a word just sounds like a question whenever you say it, even though the word itself is a statement.
BL.
BL.
Oh, okay.
BL.
I'm just saying.
BL.
We just break into song.
Yep.
Dude, that's how we start our Sherlock's themed
Sherlock
musical.
Holmes themed
Jeez.
Muppet musical.
I bet there's a couple of those.
The great musical number. The Dance of Deduction.
Ta-da!
Oh. Early on in the story, we're jumping all over this fucking story, but that's fine because I listened to it in 2 days.
I listened to it in one.
I'm lightheaded, and half of this
I'm
book is
nauseous.
about Mormon cowboys, which I don't want to talk
Let
about.
me get my hold on. Let me pull up the text message that I sent to Ben.
Jefferson Hope's a cool guy, and he's fine. He's definitely a sympathetic killer, I think.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean Jefferson Hope is low key the hero,
Which kind of is like a thing that I've mentioned in the past, and I think Ace Attorney has some of this as well, where once you catch your bad guy, and Sherlock Holmes does this, a lot of the Sherlock Holmes novels do this, the guy just goes, "Welp, you got me. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna tell you what I did and why I did it."
Yup.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time you get that in Ace Attorney too, like once they have their breakdown.
It's fun to tell the whole
they'll
story.
Like, here's what I did and here's why I did it.
I feel like as an author, that would feel really good. Be like, hear me out. Listen to my cool idea that I came up with.
Let me tell you why I had to kill these two sons of guns, these low-down, dirty dogs.
Yeah,
these
and sometimes
varmints.
Sometimes the guy explains his reasoning and you go, "Nah, fuck you." And sometimes you're like, "Oh, I feel bad."
Yeah, this guy went through like a fucking Western in his own life, and it was tough. The
church made me do it. Oh, okay, you're good then.
I love that he talks for multiple paragraphs telling his backstory, right, and why he did it. And then he pauses and he goes, "Give me a glass of water, if you please. My mouth gets dry with the talking." I handed him the glass and he drank it down. "That's better,"
anyway.
he said, and then continues to talk for another like 5 to 10 paragraphs.
Listen.
It's just, yeah, you get thirsty.
You get thirsty.
Like,
about
hey,
murder.
listen, I'm gonna die any minute now. I will be telling you my story.
I'm gonna die in a really embarrassing way.
I'm not gonna die thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
He dealt with that thirst when he was
water.
in the He dealt with that thirst when he was out in the Utah desert. Gee Williker, sir, how did you survive the Salt Lake, the Sierra Blanco, which I did not expect to hear in.
Yeah.
I did not.
Well, you know how they survived. It's because they were able to overcome all of it with their Anglo-Saxon tenacity.
Cool.
Right.
And anytime I bumped into old-timey racism, I decided to highlight it because it was funny to me.
Yeah, you're gonna run into some of that in Sherlock Holmes. You're gonna run into some really egregious old-timey racism. You're gonna run into some weird old-timey racism.
Yep.
You're gonna run into some stuff where you're like, I don't even know if this is racist. It just feels weird.
What do you mean? What? Wait.
We'll get there.
Hey, real
someday.
quick, I just immediately forgot the sentence you just said, Rose, so don't even worry about it.
Okay. There's a lot of weird old-timey racism.
You know what would help you with that? Cocaine.
I have
I
have a Coca-Cola Zero Sugar Orange Cream on my desk.
My dog
right
is barking. She wants the cocaine.
You're enjoying the history of cocaine, I see.
Yeah, I'm enjoying. I unfortunately can't get the good stuff, so I have to limit myself to this weak simulacrum of what Sherlock Holmes had to get.
Next week on Updated Autopsy Report, we're going to be doing cocaine. As part of our Ace Attorney Inspiration series.
You know what? Fuck it. Why not?
Do a line for Shoot Takumi, everybody.
Dude, I'll do it.
No, here's the real thing. If we actually wanted to do that, is we would need to chug an entire bottle of wild turkey.
Oh,
not to get
that'd be sick, actually.
Oh.
That's for whatever we do as a side project. If we drink an entire bottle of wild turkey, get on the mic and let it rip.
Yeah, that's behind the fucking Patreon.
That's not even a Patreon at that point. That's like a Fansly some shit.
We gotta
Come
have a
meet us at
Kickstarter for the wild
Otakon,
turkey episode.
where we do lines on the table.
There we go. I feel like we could call it like never mind.
Okay.
I thought I was gonna come up with a bit about turkeys, and I realized the only thing I know about turkeys is that they're Thanksgiving, and I can't just say the word wild Thanksgiving. That doesn't.
Right.
That doesn't.
They use a lot of turkey terms in Transformers as like jabs.
They call each other turkeys.
They call each other like instead of you jerk, they call them turkey. They call each other turkeys a lot.
I have a question. Why do the
That's
Transformers
wild.
knows what birds are?
Shh.
Okay. My
Well, they've been on Earth for a little while, at least 4 million years.
I don't know the
And then
Transformers
turkey is what
lore.
they picked up?
I extended that olive branch to you, and every time you turn it down,
some Transformer being like sees the turkey evolve and goes, you know what? That's
Fuck
gonna make a
that
great
thing."
insult.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm menaced by wild turkeys every damn day of my life. I live in Alfred
I've had some in my
Hitchcock's The
yard.
Birds.
When I see a turkey,
There's
I cross
geese,
the
there's
road.
ducks.
I
I was
Why'd you
menaced
cross
by
the road,
geese
Tiago?
on my way home from work today.
turkeys scare me. I don't like large birds. They kind of upset me.
It's because they're
Good
dangerous and
thing
they're
you
bastards.
didn't live in the Cretaceous period.
I really fucking dodged a bullet with that one. I wouldn't even have cocaine.
Damn.
It's true.
oh man,
I'm so glad that we've rethemed this episode to be about cocaine and
Turkeys.
I mean, the other option is that
Um,
we go off about the Western cowboy story at the end of this murder. Just
I mean,
other.
it's interesting. He does not do it like that again. Like
Right.
this
Where
is
it's just half the book.
I
Yeah.
texted Ben at 11 o'clock in the morning and said, "Am I supposed to be listening to this Mormon stuff in the middle of the
Yep.
audiobook thing?" And then 10 minutes later, he didn't answer me. I go, "Never mind."
So this particular story to me reads as a pilot, like a TV pilot for Sherlock Holmes, where
Mhm.
like I could sort of see, without any context of like what Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was doing at the time, that like he was just kind of trying shit in this one.
You know how much he was trying shit?
How much?
He wrote this when he was 27 in 3 weeks.
Yeah, okay, this reads as if someone came up
Big
with
fucking deal. I have people write like 300K fanfics in like 3 days.
What kind of fanfics,
I'm just
I mean, that's kind of what well, it's not really. It's kind
You
of.
try to get anybody to write a novel in 3 weeks these days. Listen.
I'm neurodivergent.
Well, he didn't have
Yeah,
a
you just gotta be
He didn't have a
neurodivergent.
computer.
No, I'm the other kind
Yeah.
of neurodivergent where I can't do it.
He had to do that longhand.
He had to do that shit while walking uphill both ways.
in the snow.
In the
But
snow.
cocaine will help with that, but
Oh yeah, too. He was skiing those slopes.
well, he probably wasn't, which is the crazy part.
You don't think Sir Arthur Coyle had some toots?
He was, as we've established earlier in the podcast, he was kind of anti-cocaine.
Wait, really? Then why do you make the sickest guy do cocaine?
I don't know.
Haha.
Should we ask him?
It's so he could be more relatable to the people.
I mean, I think it's because he knew some guy with untreated ADHD and was like, this guy could be a detective.
This guy could be a detective. Sees a guy solve something. This
Yeah.
guy could do this for a
just
living.
because you depict something in a piece of media doesn't mean you're endorsing it.
Oh, you see, I thought that
Take
every
that
piece of
and,
media
drop that down,
as a
drop
creator,
that down.
Yeah, I know.
I thought as a
It's
creator,
great. I
I
just
have
came
to.
up with that idea just now.
I can't even keep
Pretty
going
good.
with the bit.
Pretty
Pretty
good, man. I might
good.
be onto
Pretty
something.
good.
Yeah, I've got this quote here. It says, "It's quite exciting," said Sherlock Holmes with a yawn. "What happened next?"
Oh yeah, when the fucking dude came in telling him what happened, and Sherlock Holmes goes, "All right, good job, idiot."
Now, of course, yes, that is in an entirely different section, but that is me during a lot of the half of the Mormon section of the book, because while at times it is compelling, there is just a lot of it, right? there's just so much of it
Yeah.
to
Isn't America cool? It's kind of interesting. I forgot I wanted to. It's kind of interesting reading this from, like British point of view, where we would learn about Utah and stuff in an American point of view, like in American schools.
that
Yeah.
exotic, far off land of America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or like it's sort of the like weird sensationalism of like, like wackiest Japanese cults or whatever, but it's like
Right.
wacky American cults. Like,
Have you heard about these freaks who take so many women to be their wives? The Mormons, they do
I hear
cult
they're-
and they
they're
do kidnappings and all
kidnapping
this
women,
stuff, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, and so yes, it's very sensational. Obviously, He got a lot of shit for this after the publishing of this story.
Really?
From the Mormon Church, to be clear.
What were they gonna do? They're all the way in Utah.
They weren't fond of it.
Yeah.
What
They were
the
gonna
fuck?
Yeah,
whine
what were
and
they gonna do?
complain.
Leave Utah?
So
Yeah, but like my homeboys in England, the Mormons are in Utah.
So was Mr. Hope was also in Utah, but he ended up in England.
Yeah, but that's because he had raw determinism coursing through his veins.
Okay,
Mhm.
you got me there.
Yeah,
He's also fictional.
he lost a baddie, Des, and he could not let
sad.
that go.
You're right. I'm sorry.
yep.
I can't.
There is a little bit of like, and Lucy, once she turned 18, I'm gonna spend a couple sentences telling you about how smoking hot she was. I was like, all right, I get it, dude.
I did hear that
All right,
part and went,
Him being a dumbass 20-something does sort of,
crack.
yeah.
I mean, when he said that his father was old, my response was like, what is he, 35?
Yeah.
At most. Maybe this is where like anime ages come from. It's from the old west.
Yeah.
No,
I wouldn't take that one to the bank, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not gonna catch this check, sir. The Mormons take him in, and it's like, in order to be
We're only gonna save you and give you food if you become Mormon.
if you become Mormon. He couldn't move
Which is
after that.
a common Christian tactic, I hear.
There's nowhere to go.
Out west,
It's true.
like Fievel.
They are literally dying.
People go west all the time.
Well, yeah, but the whole thing that Farrier and Lucy in the first place is that they had gone west and it went bad.
Oh,
yeah, they
Everyone
almost
died but them.
died.
They almost died of thirst.
Then they should have tried going east.
I do love every once in a while, like when you're reading this, like obviously it's an older story, but like every once in a while, like a sentence creeps out that is like feels super modern, right? Like there was one that there it is, yeah. John Ferrier groaned internally. This is when the pastor showed up, right? Whoever the leader of the Mormons like shows up at his front door and is like, "So I hear you haven't planned to marry Lucy off to anybody yet. Why not?" And John Ferrier, it says John Ferrier groaned internally, and that just felt like, yeah, I could read that in any book that came out today.
Yeah. It's strange to see some of the old writing techniques used in books from over 100 years ago, because I'm away from my mic because I'm getting sleepy.
Wake up.
I'm going to wake up. I'm going to approach my mic. Menacingly.
You're lying.
He's approaching the
Wake up.
mic.
Slap
I'm
yourself.
approaching the mic. Everybody stand the fuck back.
Okay.
I can see some of their like writing techniques he used, and I was like, this would never be done in a modern book. And part of me is like, yippee, I get to see something new, a new style. But it's not new style, it's old style.
But it's new to you.
It's new to me.
Everything old can be new again.
Dude, time is a flat circle. True Detective, season 1.
Yay!
Yay!
I like how you had to add the season 1 on the end there just to make sure that we knew that you liked
Asterisk.
the good one.
The good one! Not season 2!
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm always really fond, and part of the reason why, I wanted to do some of this stuff and cover some of these books is because I love encountering media that unlocks like oh, this is where everything else came from, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is where like 800 other things got inspired, to make their shit. And this was kind of like how I felt like when I saw like Twin Peaks for the first time, right? You watch that and it's like, oh my god.
Oh, this is
realized-
why everybody's a fucking freak.
This is like, yeah, this is where so many things have like taken inspiration and grown off of it. So it's nice to like read the first Sherlock Holmes story and go, okay, yeah, I see it now. Like, I mean, I kind of already knew it because Sherlock Holmes is just so, like I said before, so suffused in culture in so many ways. But
I feel like ubiquitous is a good word for it.
yeah, but
I
it's
also
still
like
nice
that
to see
word.
the original,
Yeah.
and be like, okay, I see it, I see the pieces. I see the seeds that like so many other things sprouted out of. It's fun.
It's sick. I can also see why people like Sherlock Holmes. He's kind of a quirky. He's definitely he gives me Tumblr sexy man vibes.
Well, is there any reason there's multiple Sherlocks who have been Tumblr sexy men?
Yeah.
It kind of explains all of Super Hulock.
It really does.
Rose knows
Really
what I'm
does.
saying.
We all know what Super Hulock is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
we were all there.
Yeah, but
We
I just
were all
wanted
there.
to specifically point out Rose there for a moment.
You wanted to call her out particularly.
That's so mean.
I've watched 2 episodes. I know I seem like the kind of person who's watched a lot of Doctor Who. I've watched 2 Doctor Who episodes in my entire life.
I've seen more than she has.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah,
that's
we
more
watched
than
a
you.
couple. We
I
watched a
actually-
couple of episodes of the 7th.
He's fine.
7th?
It's
9th?
fine. They're fine.
It's
They're
okay.
perfectly nice guys.
Yeah, the Seventh Doctor
It's
is
a
pretty
sci-fi
fun.
show.
I'm not.
Which one's Eccleston?
That's 9.
That's the one we watched.
Okay.
I just watched the Vincent Van Gogh episode. That's all I care about. I only care about Van Gogh.
Yeah.
Because he did that funny thing to his ear.
No.
Somebody else's ear.
He did it to somebody else?
He bit somebody's ear off.
Really? Like Tyson?
What are you
you
talking?
to-
What do you mean? What are we talking about? Dustin's having a conversation with me. You're
Okay.
here. We're recording, Rose.
Shit, we're recording.
I don't know if you're saying what you're saying is in any way true or correct about Van Gogh is what we're saying.
Oh, okay.
You might be spreading misinformation on the internet.
What?
Yeah.
I'm spreading misinformation on the internet.
So yeah, it's we get the title drop in the book then at the end here.
They said study in
You know.
Scarlet, and I pogged.
Yeah, they drop it like didn't I tell you so when we started, cried Sherlock Holmes with a laugh. That's the result of all our study in Scarlet to get them a testimonial. Never mind, I answered. Watson.
Never mind. I don't want to talk about it
Whatever,
anymore.
Holmes.
Yeah. So that's like kind of the main, like after we get the breakdown, we get our 2 explanations, because we get Hope's explanation from his perspective,
Thought
and
you
then we
were
also
gonna say
get
Coke.
Sherlock's explanation of how he solved it, and they break it all down, this is how I deduced all these various things, and then they go, well, very well, and then they see the stuff in the newspaper, right? And Watson determines that he's going to be the one who will write these stories in the future so that folks can know the truth, that Sherlock is the one actually doing the solving of these crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any other like direct thoughts about this story that anyone else wanted to drop off here?
Watson really likes Holmes.
Watson went
Absolutely enamored.
He went to war, got shot in the
The soldier shoulder.
So true, King.
This is me just fucking up. This isn't a bit. I'm trying my
I just
very...
liked your alliteration.
Oh,
I got carried away before the mispronunciation happened.
Rose was there for the theatrics.
Yeah.
His soldier shoulder, and then he contracted a disease, and they sent him back to England. And then when in England, he went, I'm gonna do crazy shit for a couple of weeks and run out of money. And then he ran out of money and was like, I gotta move in with the dude, right? You follow the train so
Yeah.
far?
Yeah, and he's kind of depressed. Like he and Sherlock Holmes meet each other, and Sherlock Holmes is like, all right, let me list all of my faults. And Watson's like, okay, me too, I guess. Here's all
think
the things that
he's
are
like, we
wrong
should-
with me. I
Yeah,
hate,
we should know all the worst things about a man before we move in together.
like, oh, I hate, like, unexpected loud noises and fighting because of my PTSD, and I'm lazy, and I keep waking up in the middle of the night, and...
How come he didn't
I'm
get
like,
laudanum?
okay.
I feel like back then they would have just given him laudanum.
First question.
Tiago's
Why
like,
can't I get some laudanum?
okay, can I get some fucking laudanum up in here?
Waiter.
Waiter, your finest laudanum, please. I'm just saying, you know what? Maybe we should treat our vets
Finest aged laudanum.
better. Over 100 years later in a different country, we still don't treat our vets any better. Dude, the fucking screeches of the T are happening right now. There's a guy yelling. I'm truly in the city right now. Sorry to derail. Get it, train. Sorry to derail that for a second, but literally a cacophony is occurring to the right of me.
Well, with any luck, the listener will have no idea what you're talking about.
Or you put it all in at once, like it's like an attack from Gigius.
If listeners want to know what Tiago is listening to, you could go to the Boylston Street station and just stand down there for a few minutes.
Yeah, you can have a boss fight.
Yeah.
A Boston fight.
I like Watson. I think this version of Sherlock Holmes is not nearly as annoying as the one from BBC Sherlock. And in fact, I even think this dude's kind of alright.
Oh yeah, he's the BBC Sherlock. He's kind of an asshole.
Why'd they make him
more.
so mean?
I don't know. I genuinely think it was bad writing.
He was so mean. You remember when he told that guy to leave the room because he could hear him think? What was up with that?
It's just mean for no reason, whereas, like, you know, the OG Sherlock will be mean to you for at least some kind of reason.
Yeah, he'll give you the reason.
Yeah, it'll be like, you fucked up. You let the criminal get away. Or you caught the wrong guy. And so I'm going to poke you over this and kind of be a little bit of a dick.
Yeah, I'll just be like, you bozo,
this.
how come you didn't think about this more than not at all? Oh my god.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, yeah, I thought I wanted to try out something here at the end. I thought it'd be fun to do like a little segment for some of these things that we're covering. What's your Takumi touchstone? I'm just trying out titles here. What's the one thing, be it a scene, a line, or even part of the mystery that felt, you know, particularly like Ace Attorney to you? Or if nothing jumps out at you, just what's your favorite part of the story? And I do have one here, and that is, it's kind of near the start. It's when Watson says, "What ineffable twaddle, excuse me," I cried, slapping the magazine down on the table. "I've never read such rubbish in my life. What is it?" asked Sherlock Holmes. "Why, this article," I said, pointing to it with my egg spoon as I sat down to my breakfast. And so he explains why he thinks this article is really dumb. And, he says, "I would like to see him clapped down in a third-class carriage on the underground and asked to give the trades of all his fellow travelers. I would lay 1,000 to 1 against him." "You would lose your money," Sherlock Holmes remarked calmly. "As for the article, I wrote it myself." You! That just really stuck out to me. Not only is it just funny on its own, but also it felt very much like a very like Takumi-esque or Ace Attorney-esque like back and forth between two characters.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody digging themselves into a hole, and then the other character being like, "Well, that was me actually," and they're like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
You mean every time Phoenix opens his mouth?
And of course, Holmes, excuse me, I did it. Holmes goes on, "These are really practical theories that I'm working here, so practical that I depend upon them for my bread and cheese."
The very bread and cheese you eat right now. Wow.
Oh god, I wish I was eating bread and cheese.
So it's fun. I thought that was kind of bit. And we Rose, you kind of brought one up earlier, which is like all the explanation stuff, right, from everybody.
Yeah, I think
laying everything out at the end.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that, obviously that's not exclusive to just Sherlock Holmes.
Yes,
that's
for sure.
That's a device that gets used, but it's definitely something that's reminiscent of Ace Attorney.
Chekhov's breakdown.
The actual like Ace Attorney thing that I felt like, oh my god, that reminds me of, I think I brought it up earlier, is the fact that like Sherlock Holmes talks about how he handles his deductions, and he goes, most people, if you bring out like a series of events, can tell you what happens at the end, whereas I can start with the end and tell you the series of events that got us there. And I'm like, that's exactly what we do in court, sir. You see, I myself am a bit of a me fucking Willem Dafoe face. I myself am a bit of a detective.
How you do, fellow detective?
How do you do, fellow detective? Because we are always shown the end of the murder and
That's
all.
Steve Buscemi, isn't it?
No, I'm quoting the Willem Dafoe from Spider-Man, and he was like, "Well, you know, I'm somewhat of a blank myself."
Oh, I'm thinking of... Okay, never mind.
Yeah, you're thinking of Steve Buscemi. Hello, fellow blanks.
How do you do, fellow children?
I could actually see the line you could draw between Steve Buscemi and Willem Dafoe. They're not that dissimilar looking.
Starscream voice.
Oh my god. I whatever.
You dug yourself your own hole, yep.
Whatever, dude. I said what I said about Ace Attorney. I'm moving on.
Yep. Alrighty. Did you have any points that stuck out to you, Dessy?
Sherlock's in it.
Yeah.
Sorry. You asked the question and I panicked about it. I didn't know. I didn't think about it. That's why we need to talk about this. I need these questions before we read the book.
Sure. That's fine. We can do that in the future.
What about improv?
So, now you know. I think I will try to do it. Again, even if it's not like an Ace Attorney thing, I think even just like your favorite moment or part of the story, right?
I'm like going through the story in my head. I think it was just neat, like you said, that it's reading something that has influenced so much stuff that I've never engaged with outside of just the thing, you know? Like all the references and stuff you don't understand as a kid. Boy, we're getting old, huh?
No, not me.
Clicking.
Anyway.
All right. Well, yeah. We'll try it, see if we can try that segment next time too, and see if anything else jumps out at us like that. So, yeah, I think then that will do it for us this week, folks. Thank you for listening. You can keep up with our show via our website, updatedautopsy.report. That'll let you stay up to date on everything we do, get links to all of our socials. We also have a YouTube channel, which features Let's Plays and other fun videos at youtube.com/@Yotseben. You can follow me on all social media at Yotseben. Dessy, where can people find you?
Robot posting on Blue Sky at I'm Dessy.
And Tiago?
You can find me at Tiago S. Dutra on various social medias, including Blue Sky.
And Rose.
You can find me at Rose Nonsense, also on various social medias, but mostly Blue Sky. You can also find me asleep in the basement at work. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Right. Let's tuck Rose
Thank
on.
you so much. Yeah, let's tuck Rose in, yeah. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that you'll rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. Next time, we will be discussing the 2 short stories, The Murder on D Hill and The Psychological Test, both by Edogawa Ronpo. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Isn't that guy famous or something?
He's kind of famous, yeah.
Sick.
I gotta read something I haven't read like 10 times. God, how am I gonna make it?
Bye. Wait, no, I should do like a cowboy one. See you later, partner.
Whatever the opposite of howdy is.
Howdo.
What's the opposite of howdy?
Howdo.
Huh?
Howdo.
Howdo. I'm trying something new.
Sayonara, cowpoke.
It sounds like a Pokemon of some sort that has yet to be discovered.
Hasta la vista and sayonara and howdo.
I'm gonna stop recording.
I think you're gonna have to workshop that howdo.